My friends trapped me in a bedrock prison and it seemed impossible to escape. The prison was called the villager prison. On the outside it looked like a villager's house, but on the inside all the rooms were made of bedrock. Am I gonna be able to escape?
Oh, we breaking out of prison again? I bet!
That's right guys, this is a 2-player prison.
Where are we?
That's right guys, this is a 3-player prison.
This doesn't look like parkour civilization.
That's right guys, this is the first 4-player prison and the escape starts now. The first thing I noticed in the room with me and Grox was this cauldron. I tried to look underneath it to see if there was a hidden item or button or something, but there was nothing. Inside it was filled with water and nothing else. The only other thing we could see was this flowing lava next to our room. So it seemed like I was in my worst nightmare, stuck in a bedrock box with this idiot. Teddy at least had an item. In front of him, he had an arrow in an item frame. Other than that, he was surrounded by bedrock on all sides, even a piece of bedrock above him, meaning he was stuck. To his left, he could see me and Grox beyond this lava, and across the way, he saw Ebbo on a single block. Ebbo was completely stuck, but he could see a lot. He saw the villagers on the corner of me and Grox's room, and he could also see a pot floating above Teddy's head. The final thing he could see was this little room behind him, but it was way too far away for him to make the jump without falling into lava. So it seemed like everybody was completely stuck. That's until Teddy used F5. It gave him a whole new perspective, and he was able to see this item he couldn't see before. When he punched the item frame, he got a wind charge. Wind charges are usually used to be thrown at the player's feet to launch them into the air and parkour around, but Teddy was stuck. There was other uses that it could do though. If you threw a wind charge at a clay pot, you actually would break the pot, knocking the items out of it, and they could be redirected like gas fireballs. Knowing this, we had a plan. Teddy threw it above Ebbo's head and Ebbo redirected it into the clay pot, dropping 4 bricks and a bow into Teddy's inventory. The bow was enchanted with infinity, but we didn't really see how this helped at all. We had no idea what a bow was supposed to be useful for. Teddy eventually had the idea to see if he could hit a hidden button behind the lava, but nothing happened. But while he was doing this, he gave us a hint. One of the arrows went through the lava into the wall, and I saw that it was on fire. Now we knew exactly what we had to do. Teddy started firing low power shots into the air that would go through the lava and land in our box, and me and Grox tried to get hit by them, because getting hit set me on fire. After me, Grox got hit too, and he got in the cauldron as well, decreasing the water level even more. And then finally, I jumped into this last arrow and got hit again, getting back in and getting all the water completely gone. This activated some redstone, shooting a boat into Grox's inventory. This boat was going to be used for us to save Teddy. But before I can show you how we're going to get Teddy out of that bedrock box, I have to tell you about the sponsor of this video, OperaGX. This village represents your current web browser. It's boring. But this village represents OperaGX. It's exciting and fun. Oh, don't look at that. That's a spoiler for my next video. OperaGX is not like other web browsers. You can add mods to make it more feel like your vibe. I looked up Minecraft in the mods category and saw so many different ones to choose from. I found one that I thought looked really cool and installed it. And in a few seconds, my colors were updated to Minecraft. When I went to my home screen, I had this animated background and new sound effects. Opening tabs played dispenser noises. Typing played walking noises. Closing tabs played TNT noises. And deleting text played damage noises. But maybe you want something other than Minecraft, like Fortnite? We got Fortnite. Maybe you like anime? We have Gojo doing a hollow purple. Or maybe you want a chill vibe? We have Lo-Fi Girl. No matter who you are, there's a theme for you. They also have this really helpful feature for gamers where you can limit the amount of RAM and CPU your web browser uses, saving more power for your gaming. They also recently upgraded their browser with AI. By pressing this button, you get an AI assistant. I asked it the real question, is Seawattgaming the best YouTuber? And it's... wait, why is it not saying yes? One of the best? Oh, let's go! OperaGX confirmed it! Seawattgaming's the best YouTuber! You can use the link in my description to install OperaGX right now for completely free. Before we left, I told you guys that this boat was going to be used to save Teddy. Now let me show you how we're going to do it. Basically, when Ebbo saw the corners before of our box, he told us that they were hollow, with villagers standing on them. That means that if you boat into the corner, you can actually glitch through them. When I went through, I almost knocked this villager off. Luckily, I started shifting and didn't bump him. I got around him pretty quick and started pushing him into the corner, and that's when something I didn't expect happened. He disappeared. That's because he got sucked back into the boat on the other side. Grox then broke the boat and started investigating the new villager. It had a name Timmy's mom, and it was selling a Thorns 3 iron helmet for a Frostwalker 2 book. But right now we couldn't do that enchantment, so we had a bigger problem. I was now stuck outside of me and Grox's cell, but this is exactly how we were going to save Teddy. I was going to jump across and place the boat and get into it before I fell in the lava. And you already know I hit the jump because I'm like that. Teddy was now free from his bedrock prison. Now we all had to start trying to figure out what to do next. Luckily, everybody was really focused and paying attention.
What's up, girl? Do you come here often?
Me and Teddy started looking around his platform for items he couldn't have reached before, like maybe a hidden one in the lava. I even put the boat on top of the block above Teddy to get an extended range, but we found nothing. So it seemed like it was time for me to go back. I placed the boat and hit the jump again. Then I drove back into the corner and glitched back inside of my prison cell. Now, this would have gotten the boat stuck on the outside, but luckily we freed Teddy, so all he had to do was jump across and back up a little bit so he didn't teleport through, and then Teddy was able to get out of the boat and break it for me. And because this corner is so thin, all Teddy had to do was crouch and slide as far back as he could and throw the boat at the corner, and it would phase through into my inventory. Now, all I had to do was the same thing on the other side to free this villager. I went into the corner and glitched through, and again I almost knocked him off, but luckily he stayed on. I slowly worked my way around him, making sure not to bump him into the lava. All I had to do was slowly push him into the boat, and he glitched through. Now Grox had both villagers in the cell. This one was called Timmy's dad, and his trade was a brick for an anvil, which we could actually do because Teddy had 4 bricks. But we had a problem. Me and Teddy were both stuck outside again, and this time we were separated. But the solution was the same thing. Grox threw Teddy the boat, and Teddy went ahead and placed it. Now I just had to hit a slightly more annoying jump because of the angle, but you already know your boys like that, so I hit that easy. I landed the boat on Teddy's side, and it was facing the wrong way. So I got out and we destroyed it. Then me and Teddy jumped at the same time to point the boat the right direction. Then I just did the same thing. I glitched right through the corner. Now me and Grox were inside this cell with both villagers. Teddy was going to be stuck for a little bit, so he threw us all his items so we could try to think of what to do next. Me and Grox started thinking, and luckily again we were both taking it super serious.
Nah, why was he just looking at my girl like that?
Yo, chill bro, lock in, what are you doing? We really didn't have any ideas. We knew we could trade a brick for an anvil, but we didn't see how that helped at all, so for now we were waiting, because we knew we were still missing something. I tried to boat glitch to see if there was something else in either of these corners, and the first one was a dud. Then I went over to the final corner that we hadn't checked yet to do the exact same thing, but I didn't expect much from it. But when I got out of the boat, I teleported into a new room we hadn't found yet. Right off the bat, I got shot in the face by a skeleton and started getting some distance between me and him. Once I was safely out of range, I could take a better look at this room. It was a really long and tall room with nothing in it. At the end of it was a 2-block high jump leading to another hallway, but I didn't have a block to stand on. The first idea I had to get up was to actually shoot myself with my own bow to see if I could get the height from the damage tick to make the 2-block jump. This was not really working though, and I realized that there was a much simpler solution. I just had Grox throw me the boat through the thin corner, and then I ran back to the 2-block jump and placed the boat down. Then I just got out and collected my boat. Now I also took a chance to get a closer look at the skeleton because I noticed he had a name tag before. It said 1v1 me, and then he shot me in the face again. So for now, I went to check out this new hallway. I was running down the hallway and I could see a fire and a sign. The sign read, "Warning. Any noise will blow up the hallway." I instantly started crouching and got a little bit closer. That's when I got the achievement Sneak 100, meaning I was near a skulk sensor, and if the sign was telling the truth, if I made any noise, the skulk sensor would detect it and blow up the hallway. In front of me was a campfire, and under that looked to be a TNT block. I couldn't tell how many campfires there were, but it went pretty far back. Now here was the problem. Stepping on those campfires would make me take damage, which would make a noise and blow up the hallway. So I couldn't progress at all. But now I think I was finally starting to understand what needed to happen. It had to do with the villager trades from before. We had the one trade for a Thorns 3 iron helmet in exchange for a Frostwalker 2 book, and a brick in exchange for an anvil. These trades had seemed really random before, but now they were starting to make sense. The first thing I did is I went back and gave Grox the bricks so that he could trade for the anvil. Next, we were going to have to find a way to get the Frostwalker enchanted book, but that seemed pretty hard because we didn't have an iron helmet. But we actually had gotten a clue where the iron helmet was earlier in the stupidest way possible. When Grox punched this villager, he took damage, meaning that villager was wearing Thorn's armor. And on top of that, the villager could not do any more trades, so there was no reason to really keep him around. Grox went ahead and killed Timmy's dad, and just like we had suspected, he was wearing the iron helmet we needed. Now we could trade with the other villager to get the Frostwalker book. There was just one final problem. I didn't have any boots to enchant with the book. But what did we just learn? Villagers can wear armor, and now Timmy's mom didn't have any trades left for us to use, so Grox went ahead and repeated the process.
I'm sorry, this is hurting me more than it's hurting you.
And we were right again. There was the iron boots that we needed. Grox went ahead and tossed me the boots through the corner. Now I had iron boots, a Frostwalker book, and an anvil. I was ready to go. I juked our skeleton friend and ran to the other side of the hallway and placed the anvil here, so I'd be able to jump up. And now I was ready to enchant. Ooh, we still have a problem. It was time to lock in. I'd completely forgotten I was gonna need experience. I had none. This made sense though why our skeleton friend was here. He must have been the key. Now, obviously I could kill him for EXP, but that would only get me 1 or 2 levels. I needed 4. Luckily, there was something else we could do with him to get the EXP we needed. This room was exactly 52 blocks long, and that might not seem important, but it's actually incredibly useful. So the first thing I did is get the skeleton trapped in my boat, and then I drove him right up against the wall, and I ran to the other side, and then I took out my bow. See, in Minecraft, there's a few ways you can get EXP, from mining, killing mobs, and also doing advancements. If you kill a skeleton from more than 50 blocks away with a bow, you get an advancement called Sniper Duel that awards you a good amount of EXP, and that amount happened to be exactly 4 levels, which is exactly what we needed to enchant the boots. So I went ahead and put the boots in the anvil and enchanted them with Frostwalker. Now that we had these boots, we were going to be able to finally go through the hallway. As I got near the skulk sensor, I held shift and took my hand off the mouse. I didn't want to make any mistakes. I walked to the other side of the campfire and the hallway continued. Once I got around this corner, I felt like I definitely had to be out of range of the skulk sensor, so I started running to see what the next room had in store, and I was completely surprised. I was in the room behind Evbo. This is the first time Evbo's been relevant to the escape in like 10 minutes. I could also see Teddy stuck back there at the corner of me and Grox's room. First thing I did is looked around. I saw a hole in the roof of this corner, and I could see some water off in the distance. I had no way to jump up though, and the boat wouldn't fit in the 1x1 hallway. The only other thing around here was the next room, which was a 5-block jump over lava. And again, the hallway on the other side was 1 block wide, so I couldn't use the boat, and it was too far to jump. But before I did anything else in this room, there was something I already knew I had to do. I was going to free Ebbo from his floating block. I got in the boat and drove it as close to the ledge as I could without it falling off. Now all Ebbo had to do was jump and click into my boat. Then I just backed us up to safety and got out and collected the boat. Ebbo was finally free from his starting area. Now me and Ebbo had to figure out what to do in this room. We realized we couldn't jump across, and we quickly came up with a solution. I got behind Ebbo and he lined himself up with the jump, and he sprinted and I punched him across. Ebbo landed the jump and was now free to explore the other side. The first thing he saw was a sign that said the next room needs 2 players. Then at the end of the hallway he found a hole that dropped down about 10 blocks. With nothing else for him to do, he just went ahead and dropped in. On the ground in front of him he saw an item frame with a mace and a new ginormous room. The sign said the next room needed 2 players, so I did what I could to get to Evbo. The only way I could was by placing the boat and using it to jump across to the other side, but now we weren't going to be able to get the boat back. It was a sacrifice we had to make though, because it was the only way I could get into this room with Evbo. We started looking around and we saw a doorway at the other side of these 3 lava jumps, and an item frame on the wall and an item frame on the ground with a fishing pole in it. There was also a baby villager, and other than that, that was basically all we could see. Obviously, somehow we had to get down there, but without the boat, how are we going to cancel the fall damage? Well, that's what the mace is for. The way the mace works is no matter what height you fall from, if you hit something before you touch the ground, you cancel all your fall damage and do a ton of damage. So, Ebbo lined up his shot and used the baby villager to clutch, but now he was down here safely. Evbo started collecting the items. First he got an extremely damaged fishing pole. Then he broke these 3 armor stands and got 2 pairs of Frostwalker boots. Finally he got a Windburst 3 enchantment. That's for the mace, but it would cost 6 levels and Evbo had 0. Also there was a doorway with some water flowing in it. Evbo swam to the top to see what there was, but there was nothing. It was just a ledge. It was a survivable fall, but there was no items or anything. But we had an idea of what we could use this for. The item in this item frame Ebbo wasn't able to reach, but I had a bow, so I was able to snipe it and pop it off. It was a netherite hoe. Ebbo then attached the fishing rod to it and started backing up to the water. He went all the way to the top. The way fishing rods work in Minecraft, by being this far away when you reel it in, it comes flying at you at lightning speed. It went to Ebbo's inventory and he got an advancement worth exactly 7 levels of EXP. He was able to give this mace Windburst 3. Me and Ebbo were pretty sure the goal of this room was for us to get to the ledges on the other side, and Windburst was the key to that. When you hit something with Windburst, you get launched back up into the air, and you deal knockback to everything around what you hit. This gave me and Ebbo a plan on how to get across, but the issue is I needed to have the Windburst mace, and Ebbo had no way to pass it to me from down there. But eventually we figured it out. It was going to use the last charge of the fishing rod. Ebbo went ahead and attached the fishing rod to the mace and swam to the top. And then he got ready and jumped off and pulled the mace. This launched the mace straight up into the air where I was standing above him, and it went right into my inventory. Now that I had the mace, we were going to be able to try one of the deadliest tricks of the whole prison that would get us both across. I was going to jump with the mace, and I had to land 3 hits, and if I missed a single one, I'd die. I went for it. I landed the first hit on this armor stand, knocking Ebbo to the second platform, and then we repeated it on every single platform, and we both made it to the other side. Because Because me and Ebbo are the GOATs. Now that we were on the other side, we were able to progress the prison. I started looking around. I had a saddle and a pig spawn egg on my side. The pig spawn egg was named John Pork. There was also this hole in the wall with water flowing out towards me, but I couldn't get into it. These items seemed extremely random, but I just kept going deeper down the hallway. Eventually, I got to some flowing water and I swam up the top of it. At the top, I got another boat, and then there was a little hallway. I walked to the end and I started realizing this felt very familiar. Then I saw the boat from earlier. This was the hallway right behind where Ebbo started. I had looped back to the beginning. While I was doing all that, Ebbo started exploring his side. He found a sign that said send items up. He went deeper in and he saw a room with a nether portal and a villager.
Guys, I found a villager named Timmy.
Timmy was trading an infinity bow and an arrow for a flint and steel. Obviously, we had to trade our bow and arrow to light the nether portal to get to the next area. Me and Ebbo had a plan of what we thought we had to do, but we had to run a test first. Ebbo destroyed the sign, and after a little bit of waiting, the sign came down the water into my inventory. That means Ebbo could pass items up to me. Once we knew this, Ebbo went ahead and threw the Frostwalker boots into the water. Those were clearly meant for Teddy and Grox. Once I had both pairs of boots, Ebbo also threw the netherite hoe up to me in case I would need the levels to do anything. Now I had everything I needed. I went back down the hallway and then I dropped down into the starting room. I lost a little bit of progress, but that's okay. I put my Frostwalker boots back on and slowly made my way past the skulk sensors, being very careful not to set them off. It was time to save Grox and Teddy from the starting room and bring them with me, and the key was John Pork. I gave Grox the boat and had him place it down and push it near the corner. Then I spawned John Pork in and he got sucked through the wall. I threw Grox the saddle. Now here's the situation. If Grox wanted to boat glitch to me right now, he could, but we would leave Teddy there stuck and stranded. We didn't want to do that. We were going to come up with a way to get all three of us out of here. Grox destroyed the boat and then he went ahead and passed it to Teddy. And then Teddy placed the boat, but he was careful not to TP in because then the boat would be stuck. Then all Grox had to do was push John Pork to Teddy.
Oh my god, bro, just go into the corner. This is why no one likes you.
After a little bit of annoyingness, Grox was able to push the pig through into the boat. Now this next part was kind of risky, so Teddy had to really take his time. He had to destroy the boat without letting the boat fall in the lava, or pushing John Pork into the lava, or falling into the lava himself. But he found an angle where he could jam himself in the corner and destroy the boat. Once he destroyed the boat, he had to take his time again and carefully get behind the pig. Then while he was on the corner, he could pass the boat back to Grox and Grox would be able to pick it up through the wall. Now this is the really cool part. Normally players can't teleport through the wall like this, but because Teddy was riding John Pork, when Grox placed the boat and pushed it near the corner and John Pork got sucked in, so did Teddy into the starting room. Teddy and Grox were finally able to hang out. This is what it looked like from Teddy's perspective. He basically teleported in. Now all we had to do was use this system one more time. Teddy got in the boat and teleported to my side. We were finally back together. Then Grox gave us the boat and he told us when he was ready in the corner. I placed it and pushed it towards him and boom, Grox was teleported us too. All three of us were finally together. This had us pretty hyped. This is the first time 3 of the 4 players have been in the same room. We were kind of popping off. I gave each one of them a pair of Frostwalker boots, and then there was one last thing that we had to take care of. Sadly, John Pork wouldn't be able to cross the campfire without making noise, so this was the end of the line for him.
This is all we have to remember him by.
Now that all 3 of us had Frostwalker boots, we were finally able to cross this campfire together. Honestly, the whole prison just felt way more hype now that my boys were free. We got back to the area with the boat, but there was still no way to bring this boat with us, so we all just used it to jump across. Grox was a little nervous, so we made Teddy go first, but nobody missed the jump. We all got to the other side safely. Then we continued down the hallway and dropped into the next room. Now you might be wondering how all 3 of us are going to get across with only one mace. Well, we don't even have to use the mace. We have this boat. I just placed it down and both of them got in and drove off the edge, canceling their fall damage. Now I had to hit a boat clutch. If I make this, you all better subscribe. Alright, we had a deal. You all better subscribe. Anyway, I got out of the boat and destroyed it. For this next part for us to get across, it was pretty simple. I would just jump, place the boat, and get in, like I did earlier. Then Teddy would follow me, and then Grox would follow him. We would collect the armor stands as we went, and we basically just kept repeating this pattern. Everybody was locked in, and nobody missed any of the clutches. At the final clutch, we were now reunited with Ebbo. All 4 of the players were together in the 4-player prison. We went into the next room and we were ready to trade with Timmy. I went ahead and gave him my infinity bow and my arrow, and he was going to give me the flint and steel. But we learned from earlier in the prison that we can't just leave. He could be wearing armor or something useful, so all the boys surrounded him and we had to kill Timmy. After After we killed him, I went to see what item he dropped.
Dude, we just killed him for no reason.
Alright, well, we used the flint and steel to light the portal, and we could finally continue to the next room. We got teleported to the other side, and it was time to start looking around. We were in another bedrock box. Obviously, we had the portal that we spawned in the room with us, and a few plants. There was also this long hallway. We could see a crafting table a little bit in front of us on the wall. The hallway was filled with hoglins that wanted to eat us. I went ahead and started picking up the plants in the room. We got a wither rose, a warped fungus, and a crimson fungus. There was nothing else in the room with us, so this was it. With the items in my inventory, we had to try to solve this current puzzle. Clearly, it seemed like there was this portal on the other side that we were supposed to try to get to. But how are we supposed to cross with like 100 hoglins below trying to kill us? Well, the first thing we realized is one of the plants was more useful than the other ones. See, warped funguses normally repel hoglins and make them run away, but you have to put it on the ground, and you can't place it on bedrock, so that idea wasn't useful yet. Our next thing we thought about was how we were going to get to this crafting table, and that's when I had an idea. I used a boat. Boats really have been the MVP of this whole prison. I went as close as I could to the edge again and got out. That made me hit my block on a head and it put me into a crawl. I then inched my way towards the crafting table until I was in range, and then I clicked in without falling into the pit. I looked at the auto craft to see what I could make, and the only thing of use was a flower pot, so I went ahead and grabbed it. At this point, what was supposed to happen was kind of obvious. I went ahead and placed the flower pot on the wall as close as I could to the hoglin, and then I put in the crimson fungus. Immediately, all the hoglins ran away and started making us a safe zone to drop in. I dropped on top of the flower pot. For me to progress, I was going to have to break it and place it back down. This was going to be dangerous. I broke it and I instantly placed the pot, and then I fumbled and got the warp fungus in last second. If I had hesitated a little bit longer, I would have been killed. Now that it was down though, the hoglins were not allowed to attack me and they had to back up. Everybody dropped in and I started repeating the process. Every time I would break it, I would just try to move us a few blocks, being careful to make sure nobody got killed. There was one more objective we had to hit along the way though. I put the pot right underneath the crafting table and then I placed the boat down. The combination of these two blocks gave me enough height to slowly break the crafting table. Who knows, we might have to bring it with us. You can't leave anything behind in the... I broke the boat and then I went back to doing exactly what we were doing. Sometimes we would be able to move 5 or 6 blocks, sometimes I would only move us 2. It basically just depends on how close the hoglins were. After moving the pot so many times, we were really close to the end, and that's when I almost sold us. I placed the warp fungus in and took it back out by mistake. I heard one of the guys get hit twice. If they got hit one more time, they would have died. Luckily though, we were close enough to the end where we could jump up. For now, we were going to leave the pot behind, but if I needed to, I could just come back through the portal and grab it. We didn't know it at the time, but we were teleporting into the final room. I spawned in and I saw a lava-filled hallway, and to the left was a book and an item frame. Ebbo grabbed it. The only other thing I could see was this giant pit with water at the bottom. We all gathered around as Ebbo started reading the book. He said to activate the bridge for us to be able to escape, one of us had to drop into the water and they wouldn't be able to escape with the rest of us. Now you might be thinking at this part of the prison we all started fighting and arguing about who was going to go to the bottom and stay behind while the rest of us escaped. But that's when Grox did the most noble thing I've ever seen. He sacrificed himself so the rest of us could escape. He's a hero.
Yo, chill! Bro, are you kidding me right now?
After Grox was at the bottom, he flicked a lever on the wall. The lever opened up this path and we started going to the other side. There was a sign that said place boat here. I went ahead and placed the boat in the corner and then did the glitch. I teleported to the other side and I could see freedom. We had successfully escaped the prison. All we had to do now was hit this water dropper and we were home sweet home. I landed in the water and right after me, so did Ebbo, and then after him, so did Teddy. We did it. Everybody who was important escaped the prison.